let's dive in. Today, we're tackling something that I think is super practical, English slang.
All right.
You know, getting those everyday phrases down. I've got some interesting stuff to work with. So really, our aim today is to unpack some of these essential phrases so you can, really level up those everyday conversations,
Yeah,
feel more confident, and really get a better feel for, the language as it's spoken.
exactly. I bet you've come across some of these terms
Oh, I'm sure.
out in Wild Right,
Hmm.
maybe in TV shows or movies, music, online, and perhaps you felt a bit lost,
Hmm.
right? That's what this deep dive is all about. No more confusion, straight into the loop.
Because it's so important, isn't it? Grammar is obviously crucial, but slang, that's where the real, flavor of the language is. It's such a great way to connect with native speakers in a more relaxed way,
Wow.
just more authentically. And this is really important, knowing when and where to use these phrases.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
just as important as knowing what they mean.
Context is everything.
Context is king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing when a phrase fits and when it doesn't. That's a real skill.
Totally.
It's like having a set of tools, right?
Yeah.
And you choose the right one for the job. You wouldn't use a saw to tighten a bolt. And you probably wouldn't use super informal slang when you're talking to, say, someone in a position of authority.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's equip you with that toolkit.
Okay, let's do it. We'll start with some of the real fundamental phrases, the ones you hear all the time.
Right.
First up, we've got hang out. Pretty simple on the surface. Just means spending time with someone socially, usually in a pretty casual way. So, for example, you might say to a friend, hey, want to hang out this weekend and watch a movie?
Yeah.
Nice and easy. What makes this one interesting to you?
Well, I think what's cool about hang out is that it doesn't imply any real structure.
Right.
There's no agenda. And that actually reflects a cultural value, I think, at least in many English-speaking places, this kind of informal, relaxed way of connecting. No pressure to do anything specific, just enjoying each other's company.
I like that. Makes sense. All right. How about chill or chill out? This one's all about taking it easy, relaxing. If you've had a
Yeah.
crazy day, you might say, oh, I had such a rough day. I just want to chill out with some music. That
Yeah.
feeling of needing to unwind.
And you hear it used in a couple of ways. As a verb, like you said, chill out, meaning to calm down, relax.
Yeah.
But also as an adjective, like a chill vibe, meaning a relaxed atmosphere, or a relaxed person even.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to the importance a lot of cultures place on just de-stressing, finding some calm.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, let's get to a real classic positive one. Awesome. This one's straightforward. It means great, excellent, fantastic, no real complications. So you try that new restaurant everyone's been raving about, and it blows you away. You'd say, that new restaurant was awesome.
Right.
Easy.
It's just a go-to word for expressing, enthusiasm and approval.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that the intensity can change a bit based on your tone of voice.
Yeah.
But generally just means you thought something was really good.
Really good. I like it. Okay,
Yeah.
Here's a fun one. Maybe you've heard this one before. Dude. This is a super casual way to refer to a guy or a friend. You might hear someone say, dude, I can't believe we actually met that celebrity. It's definitely informal, usually used between people who know each other pretty well.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning that while dude has traditionally been used to refer to a male, in some regions and some social groups, it's broadened a bit. You might even hear women use it.
Yeah.
But it definitely retains that informal, friendly feel.
Okay.
You have to know who you're talking to and what the context is.
Right.
Yeah, that's important with that one.
Okay, and last up for our fundamentals, we've got bummer. This is used to express, a mild disappointment that something's a bit unfortunate. So you might say something like, it's such a bummer that the concert got canceled. It's a way to, express you're not thrilled about something without making a huge deal out of it.
Right. It's a great phrase because it acknowledges that something isn't ideal, but it's not overly negative. It keeps the tone kind of light, even when you're expressing a bit of disappointment.
Yeah, totally. All right, so we've got our starting point here. Some good, solid fundamentals. Let's step it up a bit now and look at some slang that maybe adds a bit more nuance.
Okay, yeah.
First one, I'm down. This one basically means I agree or I want to do that.
Yeah.
So if someone says, hey, want to check out that new art exhibit later, a quick and enthusiastic way to say yes would be, I'm down.
I'm down, yeah. I think what's efficient about I'm down is it just packs both agreement and willingness into one phrase.
Yeah.
A very concise way to show you're on board with an idea.
Love it. Next one, we've got a fun word that's a blend of two feelings, Hangry. This is when you're irritable because you are so hungry.
Hungry and angry.
Hungry and angry, yes. I think you see the connection there. I get it. You might find yourself saying, sorry if I was a bit short with you earlier. I was just super hangry. It's a surprisingly common experience.
Oh, it is. And it's such a great example of how slang can really cleverly combine existing words, to create a single term for this very specific but super relatable emotional state. Really efficient.
Really efficient, yeah. Then we've got no worries, super common, very reassuring phrase that essentially means it's okay or don't worry about it. Picture this, someone says, thanks so much for lending me your notes. And you reply, no worries, glad I could help. Just a casual way to offer reassurance.
It's become such a widespread, almost automatic response
Yeah,
in a lot of informal settings. Just conveys that sense of ease, and you're not making a big deal out of something.
yeah, I love it. Okay, let's talk about something that can be a little, well, cheesy. Now, this is a word to describe something that's overly sentimental or corny. You might watch a romantic comedy and think, okay, that movie was so cheesy, but I kind of loved it anyway. Often has a slightly affectionate, but also slightly critical tone.
Yeah, the nuance there is important
Yeah.
because it's not necessarily totally negative.
Mhm.
It often suggests that there's a kind of predictable sentimentality. There's cliche.
Yeah.
And maybe you can still enjoy it on some level.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing the lack of originality, but still appreciating the emotion.
Right. Okay, and last in this slightly more advanced group, we have take a rain check. Now, this is a very polite way to postpone or decline an invitation, but with the intention of, doing it another time. So if you can't make it to something, you might say, I'm busy tonight. Can I take a rain check on that dinner invitation? It just softens the blow of saying no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a way to decline, but without completely closing the door on doing something together in the future. It shows, consideration for the person who invited you.
Yeah.
And the imagery there is interesting. It actually comes from, outdoor events where a rain check would allow for postponement because of, bad weather.
Oh, wow.
And so it was a polite way to reschedule. And so it was kind of carried over into other contexts.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so you're really building up your slang knowledge now. But as we said earlier, knowing these words is only half the battle. We need to talk about how to use them effectively,
Right.
how to use them like a pro.
Yeah.
And the number one thing to remember,
Context.
context is key.
That's everything.
We touched on this earlier, but it's so important it's worth repeating. Slang that's perfect with friends might be totally inappropriate if you're talking to a professor or at work or, in any kind of formal setting. Remember that earlier example, what's
Right.
up?
Yeah.
Fine with friends, but in a job interview, you want to stick with how are you?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, for sure. Now, a great way to get more comfortable with slang is through exposure. Just pay attention to how native speakers use these words in real life. Watch vlogs, TV shows, YouTube videos. Notice the context, the tone of voice. You know how those phrases fit naturally into the flow of the conversation?
Yeah. Immersing yourself in authentic content. It's incredibly valuable. And you'll start to pick up on not just the dictionary definition of the word, but also the subtle cues that go along with it, like the tone of voice, maybe even the body language. So you're really seeing these phrases come to life in their natural habitat.
Right. Okay, a word of caution. Try not to go overboard with the slang.
Yeah.
Especially if it doesn't feel natural, it can sound a bit forced or unnatural. Find a nice balance. And just try to use the slang authentically.
Yeah, think of it like spices in food. A little bit can really enhance the flavor. But if you use too much, it can become overpowering and hide all the other tastes. Use slang when it feels natural and when it really fits the conversation.
Great advice. I love that. Okay, finally, if you're ever unsure about a phrase, maybe you're not sure if it's still commonly used or if it means different things in different places, or just how to use it correctly, don't hesitate to ask.
Yeah,
Most native speakers are more than happy to clarify, and it just shows that you're really, actively learning.
absolutely. Language learning is a very active process. And seeking clarification just shows you're engaged and that you really want to understand. And it can actually lead to some pretty fascinating conversations about how language changes and how it varies from place to place.
I love that. All right, so to sum it all up, understanding these casual expressions, it's so valuable to help you feel more comfortable and connected when you're talking with English speakers. It can really bridge that gap between the English you might learn from a textbook and how people actually speak in everyday life.
And as you become more comfortable, these phrases, don't be afraid to try them out. especially in low-pressure situations, like chatting online with friends or in casual conversations where you feel comfortable experimenting a little. It's the best way to really solidify your understanding and build that confidence in using them naturally.
Right.
Yeah.
And as always, keep that context top of mind. Remember when it's appropriate to be casual and when you might want to use a bit more formal language.
Hmm. And this leads to an interesting question for you all to think about.
Hmm.
Given how quickly language evolves, what other casual expressions do you think might become more common in the future?
Mm.
And how does this understanding of slang, this constantly changing aspect of language, contribute to a deeper understanding of culture and the people who use it? Something to ponder.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us.
great to be here.
Until next time.